All right, we'll get started. Welcome to everyone for the Understanding the Potential of Opportunity Zones Through Data webinar session to help celebrate International GIS Day. My name is Troy Rosencrants. I'm the GIS Center Manager with the Office of Economic Development at University of Michigan-Flint. Couple of things to note. This webinar is being recorded. So we will be able to show it or have it available on our website afterwards for future viewing. Throughout this session, please type any questions you might have or comments in the Q&A box at any time. The panelists all have access to be able to view that and answer any potential questions. We will wait until the very end of the after all four of us have presented to do questions, or you can use the chat function within the Zoom as well. So today we have four different presenters to discuss this topic. I will go first and discuss how opportunity zones and our office, how we've looked into them and trying to provide resources for various community members, economic developers, and other partners. We have Wendy Jean-Buhrer is the city manager of the city of Blanc. We have John Redwine, who's the project manager for business services at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And then we have Brad Garmon, who's the director of the new Office of Outdoor Recreation Industry within the state of Michigan. That office is also housed within the Department of Natural Resources. Okay, so as for UM-Flint Opportunity Zone Resources, we've been studying these or researching these zones or these tracks for the past year and a half. And so for those that might not quite know, in December 2017, with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, an Opportunity Zone tax incentive was included. It's a very, very large program or incentive program, but sometimes it's misunderstood or not taken full advantage of, especially it seems in Michigan compared to maybe some other areas across the country. So depending on the income level of a specific census tract, about 56% of all census tracts across the nation were deemed qualified to be selected. Each governor for each state was then tasked with selecting about 25% of those qualified census tracts to be designated as opportunity zone tracts. And so the opportunity zone allows for three different tax benefits in what's known as opportunity funds for investing any unrealized capital gains that an investor might have. The first is a temporary deferral of taxes on previously earned capital gains, which basically means those unrealized capital gains won't be taxed until either 2026 or when the asset is disposed of. The 2026, I've heard it might be moved at some point, and with a new administration coming in, it'll be interesting to see if that might change or if that'll be extended. Then there's also a basis step up of previously earned capital gains. That depends on how long you actually hold that investment, for 5 years and for 7. And then there's various increases depending on that. And then if you hold it at least 10 years, permanent exclusion of taxable income on new gains occurs. So just to give you a broad overview of opportunity zones in Michigan, there are 288 opportunity zones within the state. 222 are actually within a metropolitan area. So that's an urbanized cluster of 50,000 people or more. 29 are within micropolitan area. So it has to have at least one urban cluster within that area of at least 10,000 people, but no more than 50,000. And 37 are what basically means there's no core-based statistical type. So basically it means a rural area for that census tract. 271 are in the lower peninsula, 17 are in the upper. As you can kind of get an idea based on the map to the right. A majority are in, it seems, kind of the Detroit area, which is tough to see on that map just because they're smaller census tracts as opposed to the larger census tracts in northern Michigan, northern lower Michigan and the UP. So as you can see, 94 are within Wayne County itself, which is a majority of Detroit. Macomb County, Genesee, Oakland, and Washtenaw are the next top. And then it kind of sparsely goes down to where there's only 1 or 2 within each county after that. There's at least 1 opportunity zone in each county except for Benzie and Leelanau counties. If you're not sure where those are, they're up here in the kind of, I guess you think the pinky of the lower peninsula, just north and west of Traverse City. For our purposes within our Office of Economic Development, we have a EDA University Center. And that region that the EDA University Center focuses on is the I-69 Thumb region, which is the 7 counties of Shiawassee, Genesee, Lapeer, St. Clair, Tuscola, Huron, and Sand Black counties. So 7 counties in total. Within that 7-county region, we have 24 opportunity zones. 20 within metropolitan areas, 1 micropolitan, and then 3 rural census tracts. So 16 are in Genesee County, with 9 of those being in Flint, with a couple spread out just around it. 3 in St. Clair County, all of those are located within Port Huron, or not, yeah, Port Huron. 1 is in Huron County, Tuscola County, Shiawassee, and Lapeer counties. And just to give you an idea of kind of the statistics of those opportunity zones, and kind of what we try to do is understand who lives in those census tracts, what might be available in those census tracts. There's approximately 68,000 people based on 2018 ACS information. Median household income of 31,000, with that poverty rate being 33% on average between all those census tracts, and then the unemployment rate, again, from 2018 ACS, which that number is probably a little different given our times now, but is about 16.5%. So it's these are all lower income communities that the Opportunity Zone tax incentive is hoping to drive investment in these areas to help with potential job creation and just general products and goods being available. So what we've created so far, and we're planning on expanding these 2 applications to statewide, is our interactive map, which is located at mapflint.org/opportunity zones, where we have our designated opportunity zones within our I-69 Thumb region. We have our available listings within those opportunity zones that John Redwine provided for us, which was we're very grateful for. And then we have our existing Opportunity Fund projects, which those projects are from a database, opportunitydb.com. If you want to check out the rest of them from the rest of the nation. Last we downloaded that data was July. And then we have a dashboard, which is using the same exact interactive map, but then allowing a little more interaction with the data that's underlying those opportunity zones. So we have interactive charts and lists, and it also shows the data that's underlying, which I'll go through a short demo now. So this is just a general basic web map viewer. We have a legend and a layer list where you can check on, check off all the listings, for example, to see underneath if it gets a little crowded. But with any of these data points, you're able to click on the pop-up, get more information. So this investment score, to start within the pop-up, it was taken from a study that the Urban Institute did initially when back in 2018, where they took lending data from single family to commercial lending, a lot of different bank lending that has occurred in each census tract, and kind of gave an investment score, which basically means it's a proxy for how much investment already has occurred in that census tract. It's rated on a scale from 1 to 10. So we have a 3, for example, for that one, an 8 though within the Sanilac Opportunity Zone. So a variety different across you can find more information there. And then I took the ACS information and kind of combined it with county data to understand how this tract compares to what the county is, if there is a difference. Just general demographic information, some educational information, economic information, all the different types of data that might be relevant to understand what's in and around those opportunity zones. Then we also have Esri, which is the industry leader for GIS in terms of software. They also have a lot of data and modeling that they've performed. And they have a retail marketplace that they take the retail data that in terms of sales from Info Group. And then they also have their own model to determine what potential for each retail industry could happen. So this just shows the general, for all just total retail businesses. And then it spits out a leakage or surplus factor. And a positive number or a green number within these refers to a leakage, meaning people that are living there are going elsewhere to find whatever product that might be. Then a negative number would be there's a surplus. It means we're getting, people are coming in to the opportunity zone tract. We also used, they also have a data set called tapestry segmentation, which just kind of gives the group of people. It takes all the demographic information, economic, socioeconomic data, and kind of creates a category for different people. And then the explanations are also located there. As for the opportunity fund projects, we have who owns them, where they're located at, what type of business or asset, and then an image if it was available of the property. So you kind of get an idea of what types of funds or types of projects these opportunity funds are actually going towards. And then with the listings that John will talk about during his presentation as well, we've taken a lot of their information and then linked back to where the site selector tool that John will be talking about, so that people can understand what might be available within these opportunity zone tracts in terms of potential investment properties. So with all that data, we are able to then use the dashboard function with a chart of the retail surplus factor, and then also what that investment score is. And we also have the average investment score by tapestry segmentation. So is it a city, family foundations, and you're able to click on them and let me see if I can, to be able to see, it'll filter out which ones are there, how many are there, where they're located at. So you can see that these tapestry segments aren't just in rural locations or urban, they're can be mixed. And then also the retail leakage and surplus factor does filter as well with any of these. If you're interested in a specific track, you can click on it and get, need to piece like that. There we go. And you get just that one. So you can kind of look at it both ways. And then obviously with any of this, it's the exact same where you can click on it and find a pop-up. With this tool, we've been trying to share it. And then potentially, as Wendy will get into it here in a second, look at specific opportunity zones, specific communities, and help partner with them as much as possible to make sure they understand their data and what might go into it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy for her presentation. There you go.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. As Troy said, I am the city manager of the city of Grand Blanc. Just a little background. I've been in government for 20 years. Last 5 years, I've worked as the city manager, basically the chief administrative officer here at the city of Grand Blanc, and also the economic development officer as well. Troy went through most of this information. what's important from our side as the city, we were very excited about this. We submitted our opportunity zones and were approved through the state and then as well through the federal designation. One of our census of tracts were approved. And so we were waiting right after the legislation came out, waiting for all of the legalities of who qualifies, how this all works, when it's going to roll out. So we waited quite a while for that. Once that rolled out, we were really excited to get that information into our city partners' hands and really start moving some of this property that lay vacant and possibly get, these properties developed on opportunity zone properties. So we did wait a little while, but once we got that information and they cleared all that up, we were able to share that information with our property owners. Like I said, we do have one opportunity zone. The unique factor with this is with our opportunity zone, it is also in a Renaissance zone, which means that if there's some multimodal activity done with that, it also has another layer of tax incentive with that. It's also within a Next Michigan Development Corporation zone as well. It's in a downtown development authority, which offers a lot of other tax incentives as well. It's in our brownfield redevelopment authorities. So if any of those properties had any brownfield issues, they would also be eligible for that as well. And it's also could be eligible for Commercial Redevelopment Rehabilitation Act. So there were a lot of other layerings of tax incentive programs that fell within this opportunity zone. So layering another tax incentive program was very exciting to be able to do this within our opportunity zone. So how did we get this information out to our various partners inside the city? Once we knew what it would take to invest in an opportunity zone, we sent numerous letters to all of our realtors in the city, just explaining what the opportunity zones, since more than likely they would be the key to the developer. We made sure that they understood what it would take to be able to invest in an opportunity zone and end up with this great gain end up with this great tax incentive at the end of the day, which if they invested would end up with practically no taxation on the gains at the end of the day. And so they, it was an education process with some of them. We talked to some of our Chamber of Commerce individuals. We put that in our newsletter. We talked about it at our DDA meeting. We talked about it in our realtor meetings. Anytime a realtor called and asked about a specific property within that area, we made sure that they were aware that's an opportunity zone. And if that individual put gains into an opportunity fund, then that could be possibly eligible to have tax wiped away after a specific period. We also cold called and looked at properties that were for sale and letting people know that, when you're talking to individuals about selling that property, to really hammer in that this is an opportunity zone. So where we're at with all of that is we really have had no development in our opportunity zone. So we thought, well, there's got to be some piece that we can also do. And fortunately for us, we have great partners in our community. And one of our council members, Paula Naz, who's also the director of the UM-Flint EDA and works alongside Troy, came to us and said, hey, we've got this potential partnership that we could do with you. Would you be interested? And so she brought to us what Troy was showing was the database of the opportunity zones, more specifically geared to the city of Grand Blanc. And I'm sorry, it's taken so long. And so it highlights our different landmarks in the city, and it also highlights our buildings and land that are for sale within the city, because we felt like that would be important information that a developer could come in and look at this. When we started to kick this off, we knew that that information would be very important, having started this when COVID was just beginning, and knowing that there might be offices shut down. At least if developers wanted to look online, they could find all this information, as well as the great information for the opportunity zone. So on our left dashboard, we asked that they include the build and this information, and that's how we asked to further have more information put into it. But again, having all the opportunity zone information as the main layers of that as well. So and we're very grateful to the U of M EDA for setting this up and partnering with us as well. Did you want to talk a little bit about some of those, Troy?
Yep, yeah, I can. So with all these data, we just have very basic information currently, which we're gonna look to help expand. But with any of the parcels, you're able to click on it. If there was a picture, or not picture, if there's any description, like this for example, is with an occupied parcel, which is the one right next to it. They're being, they're kind of being sold together. And then any sort of realtor information that we've had. It allows, and this is kind of what we're trying to do for expand in terms of doing this kind of honing in on certain areas where we work with a partner like Wendy that tells us what's the most important parts of your city. What are the highlights? What are the things that are attractive to your region? And so obviously parks and ecotourism and schools and having shopping centers and museums. I think we have, the Grand Blanc Heritage Association Museum. In addition to having, that information that we already collected that I showed you in the previous one, being available as well. And even broader into the region. So as you can see, a lot of the schools and areas are kind of outside, but it's still within, this region that could help people understand if they're going to this application, they can figure out, okay, what's there, what is for sale, what isn't for sale, what's already there in terms of an actual industry of some sort. And so, so we worked with Wendy to develop kind of a first go at it, and we're going to continue to develop as we go along in terms of adding more information about each individual location, maybe for the schools, some school scores or some enrollment numbers, or and other things of that nature that we'll work one-on-one with. So is that it for you, Wendy?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will move on to Mr. John Redwine. So go ahead, John, if you would like to share your screen.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, let's get on to sharing here. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Can you see the full screen or is it cut off at all? Sorry, you're muted.
Yep. There's a little room to the right, so you can expand
okay.
it a little bit.
All right, I try to get it all here. Well, so let's just start off with what is the MBDC, just very briefly. As you can see at the top, it says Michigan Economic Development Corporation. If you think about the MBDC, there are basically 3 legs to it. You see, oh, I see, hold on a second here, I need to hide. Where's that number? Oh, there we go. So there's 3 legs to it there. Well, let's go to, I'm gonna go over here to the side here and click on the About MBDC. So it says, what is about the MBDC? It says, in collaboration with more than 100 economic development partners, it markets Michigan as a place to do business, assists business in their growth strategies, and fosters the growth of vibrant communities across the state. So there's basically 3 legs of the MBDC. First off, I will start off with the marketing side of it. Everyone knows Pure Michigan, right? So that is one of our websites, and one of the legs of the MBDC is marketing Pure Michigan as a place to visit as well as do business. On the fostering growth of vibrant communities across the state, there is miplace.org. That is where we have where they offer grants and loans to redevelop Michigan's downtowns and foster historic preservation. So there's different technical assistant programs here that you can scroll through and see different incentive programs for making downtowns and making cities vibrant to attract talent as well as business. So the third leg of the MBDC, which I said is assisting business in their growth strategies, that is this leg, which is michiganbusiness.org. Just going quickly across the top right here, there's services that we provide. First off is if you're expanding or relocating your business, you use the MBDC real estate business to find sites. And we'll go into that in just a moment here. There's also incentives and taxes for companies that are interested in either coming to Michigan or expanding in Michigan. There's Pure Michigan Business Connect, which I'll leave you that to read on your own. Statewide business assistance, and as well as there's a map down here to find your regional business development manager. If I click that, it just takes me quickly to the different business development managers across the state and their contact information. So if you're an existing business in Michigan and you're looking at expanding, or even if you're coming to Michigan from another state or country, these would be the people that you would contact if you're interested in any of those particular regions. So going back now to the top, we said I can go here to select a site, or at the very top, this takes me to the same location, which is my site selection page. And here at the very top, we have this is basically our site selection database, which we can put in locations and then click the find properties. I'm going to scroll down first and just talk about using our data tools to analyze Michigan. So first off, just clicking on the community profile graphic right here. When I click that, it opens up some information, some graphs that you can use for different purposes. These are all just basically individual JPEGs that can be downloaded. All this information, by the way, if I scroll down to the very bottom of the page, every bit of information is sourced at the bottom of all the pages. So if you're wondering where that comes from, just scroll to the bottom and you can find out where that information comes from. Now we can, let's say we're interested in looking for information just for an MSA or city, we can just do that, and it drills down to whatever community that we're looking for to get that information. So basically the same type of information. And also here, there are more tabs on the left here. There's demographics here. We can go into, so if we want to know, for example, population, we can see the numbers, 4 million for the Detroit Metro MSA. Educational attainment gives us some graphs. Again, this is for the Detroit MSA. There's also labor force information up here. And don't worry, I'm going to get to the opportunity zone. I'm saving that for the last. So we're getting there. If we can look at a different information, total employees by NAICS codes, total employees by occupation, just lots of different information you can gather there. You can map this. I'm not going to go into that at this time, but you can map that actually on that Michigan map that we looked at. Here's business information here as well. We can focus on information for, in this case, we are looking at the Detroit MSA. And let's just say, for example, we want to know information on data processing. So for this NAICS code 518210, if I click that, you can see over here it's updating. And it says there are 201 businesses within the Detroit MSA with that NAICS code. I can click any of those pins and it'll give me drill down information on those different companies across in this case, across this MSA. You also do clusters and business. You can do business search. Not going to go into those. This is all available information on michiganbusiness.org that you can go to anytime. It's free information that you can go to anytime. Mapping, that is where we're going to go into for the opportunity zone information. But lastly, before we get there, I want to go into comparison. So we can compare Detroit or compare communities. In this case, I will do Indianapolis. And that will give you, we can just do a comparison of different, let's say we can do different total establishments. It gives you different graphs there. We can do total employees by NAICS. So just different comparisons you can do for different communities. And so finally, jumping into opportunity zones. So we're going to go into the mapping tab here. And this allows us to look at, in this case, we are again still at the Detroit MSA. We can look at the map layers here. So I can turn on the map layers and notice there are lots of different layers that we can put on here. I can put in, I didn't prepare to go there, so, but I can put in flood zones. I can add wetlands and it'll show all those across the state. Let's clear that for now, but the key thing is we talked about opportunity zones, and there it is. So if we click on opportunity zones, you can see all those opportunity zones in that area, as well as not just the state of Michigan, but across the country. It does show all opportunity zones across the whole nation. So you can find those different opportunity zones here just by looking at the map. But let's say, for example, you are interested in a property, maybe you're driving by and you're interested in a property, you don't know, maybe it has for sale sign, maybe it doesn't, but you want to know, does that property, is it in an opportunity zone? So I found, let's just say I'm driving into Lansing and I found this building at 402 South Washington Square, and I want to know, is that building in an opportunity zone? And yes, there's my answer. It is smack dab in the middle of that opportunity zone. So that gives me that type of information, as well as if I want to know information. You can see other, we can get other information here as well, but just focusing on the opportunity. There we go. I think I just cleared it. That's okay. That's okay. You got the point. That's what we can do. If we don't know of a certain property, we just want to find information on a given property. So let's go back to the beginning where we talked about at the top. First, we went to this data tools, right? We went through all the different tabs here to get all that information. Now we can go in and look at different listings that we have in our database. Now over here, there is this website called CPIX. It is a Commercial Property Information Exchange System. Does it say number of listings? Yeah, so they have 16,000 listings on their database. A large percentage of those actually, and by the way, this is primarily a Detroit, or I should say a Southern Michigan real estate database. So commercial brokers in Southern Michigan are adding their listings to this database, and those listings get transmitted or transferred, sent over to our system every night. So we do have most of their listings, as well as any listings that local EDOs submit. So there's plenty of sources there. So going back to, where was I? All right, so back here, we want to look at some properties. So I'm just going to click here, find properties. And you can see in our case, we have, it'll come up here. Still loading. I'm sorry, you're getting the side of my face here, but I've got two screens going on. So, so you can see we have 13,210. I won't go into the reasons with the disparity, discrepancy between us and CPIX, but we have 13,210 properties in our database. And you can notice up here, we can filter by different things. So if I want to do, let's just say I'm going to, I'm focusing on this case, Lansing, for example. I just want to know what properties are in Lansing. There's 1,100. I can choose either buildings or sites. I can go into square footage if I'm looking for buildings, or acreage if I'm looking for land. I can also click this all filters, which gives me, if you're looking for certain buildings, it gives you ceiling height. But in relevance to today's discussion, we go over here to property assets. So you can see we have energy ready, redevelopment ready community, different things, rail, build to suit, and opportunity zone. That's what focus of our conversation is. So if I want to know for Lansing, for the Lansing MSA, give me all of the properties that are in opportunity zones. And we have a total out of those, it was 1,171 of them are in opportunity zones. So I can scroll through these, look to see if there's information I want on those. Let's just say, for example, this 339 North Cochrane in Charlotte, I'm interested in it. I can click the more details on it. And that will take me to the actual listing itself. Shows a map over here where it is on the map. I can read through information on it. It gives me 19,000 square foot, 12-foot ceilings, different information on it. And there it is, opportunity zone, yes, as well as disadvantaged area, which disadvantaged area, by the way, is another term for opportunities. Am I saying that right? Opportunity zones that are also hub zones. And hub zones, I don't have a lot of detail on those, but that's basically what it comes down to disadvantaged. So, but you can Google hub zones, it'll give you more information on that. Also across the top right here, you can see documents. So if there's a document associated with that you're interested in finding, might give you a little more information. So there's document we have on that listing. So equally on all this, there's a couple things right here. This will take you to a Google Earth flyover. We'll just do a really quick on that one. Hopefully Earth cooperates quickly for us. How am I doing on time, by the way, Troy? Just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. All right, good deal. I don't want to steal other people's time frames here. So it does go into the 360 view. Honestly, you can do the same thing through just regular Google Maps, but just a nice little tool that can show you the 360 view of a property. Map view, that's basically we're looking over here. Got street view, 3D rotation. That is this one I don't believe is configured for it. No, that's just giving you the regular same map view in this case. So so yeah, I can get a lot of information on the listing itself if you're interested in it. And let's say that you are, you're not really sure about Lansing. Most likely you've done your homework ahead of time that you're interested in Lansing, but let's just say, for example, you want to find out more information maybe on what are the wages in the Lansing area. So if I click on wages, is it coming up? Come on, don't fail me now. There we go. So here's wage information, and you can see if I scroll down, I can even drill down deeper into each of these chief executives. It gives me mean hourly and median hourly. I can change that to annual if I want. So it gives me wage information, and you can see up here that is for the Lansing MSA. So it does default to that, and this is another one. I believe this comes from BLS. If I scroll all the way down, yeah, this is BLS. So, so that's information on that. There's other tabs here. There's labor force demographics. And again, this is specific to, in this case, this property, this property you're looking at. So lots of information there. I know is a whole lot more than just opportunity zone, but it does give you some tools when you're looking at specific properties that you can use those tools to find out more on the area. So that's, I believe that is it in a nutshell on my side. There are a couple other tabs up here that I'm not going to go into, but you can these go outside of the property side of it, because right now we're in a property search. This is community data, compare communities. Those are just more tools, but I encourage anyone, if you want information, go to michiganbusiness.org, hit site selection, that to our page, tools. We have a couple other things down here, which are just basically links to other places on our internet. Oh, hopefully, can you guys still hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
I got a weird message that my internet is unstable. I don't know if you saw that, but that was kind of scary. And then here's, this listing is here. This basically is that same link that I shared with you that in the example I did, it was for, and I'll just click it. It was for the Lansing MSA. This gives you a link for all properties, the entire state that are in opportunity zones. And in that case, we have 1,235 total properties across the state that are in opportunity zones. So hopefully that gives you a lot of area to play and area to research, and I think I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you, John. Next, we will be talking with hearing from Brad Garmon. Again, before Brad starts, just a quick reminder, if you do have a question or comment, please feel free to use the Q&A or the chat functions while Brad is talking, and then we'll get to them all at the end. All right, well, Brad, go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready.
Thanks, everybody. And first takeaway, this is really super valuable because I can tell I'm underutilizing John and the MBDC mapping tools at MBDC. That was pretty amazing. Let me see. I'm just trying to get to where I can start from the beginning.
Bottom right.
Perfect, thanks.
That one right there. Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you. This is an interesting job that I have, and I think it's maybe a slightly different perspective on opportunity zones, because really what I'm going to be talking about is how we're starting to think about using opportunity zones as part of a package to attract and grow a certain subsector of the industry. So you heard John talk about different industry clusters that MBDC cares about and those kind of things. And the specific industry that I care about deeply is outdoor recreation industry jobs. So this is a new office to the state of Michigan. It launched just over a year ago on September of 2019 with the mission, collaborated with MEDC and the Economic Development Agency to come up with this mission. So I work at DNR, but I lean and work a lot with MEDC to try to grow outdoor recreation with the mission of developing, promoting, and enhancing Michigan's outdoor recreation lifestyle industry. And this really comes on the heels of us signing on to some national accords that focus on these 4 big bubbles that you see. And the reason economic development is highlighted for me is because I think it's a huge opportunity for the state. There's been some recent federal data really looking at outdoor recreation specifically as a subset. It's fairly new. Like, we have been able to target subsets of the economy like mining or auto or aerospace in the past, but recently, even at the federal level, we're targeting outdoor recreation as a standalone industry. And what they found in looking at it is it is big. It's about $10 billion of impact in Michigan alone. It is growing faster than the overall economy, and it's really diverse. So it includes things like that would fall into the pure Michigan talent, the travel Michigan budget, a bucket of accommodations, retail, but it also includes other pieces. Specifically on this last bullet here, Michigan is really big in things like boating, and that because we make a lot of boats here. We actually manufacture a big chunk of the boats, and that is not really a product that is built offshore as much because they're big and they're bulky. 95% of both RVs and boats are still built in the US that are sold in the US. And we rank number 5 in boating and fishing, number 7 in RVs, and 13th overall in total recreational GDP, as they talk about it. And it's growing faster than the overall GDP. So this is just giving you a reason why we care about the outdoor recreation. And then I'll talk about how we use that for how we're trying to think about using opportunity zones as a way to do this. So if you take Michigan GDP 2012 to 2017, according to the BEA, the specific part related to outdoor recreation in Michigan grew twice as fast as the overall GDP. As I mentioned, it's really diverse. Retail trade is the orange piece of this pie. So a lot of this is in retail, but it's also a big chunk in manufacturing. We're one of the bigger states, about 6,000 jobs in manufacturing and a lot of other stuff. But I think that gives you a sense of why we care about this. And just a couple more slides on that. Where we rank relative to other states. So this is the total jobs in Michigan. And you look at a state that's maybe well known for outdoor rec and might be attracting economic development in outdoor recreation. I'll talk more about Colorado, for example, in this presentation. 38,000 jobs in retail, and we have 46. Part of that is population, but part of it's brand identity too. Manufacturing, I think we should be able to play a pretty strong game in outdoor recreation manufacturing for outdoor recreation products. And right now, we're actually less than some of our neighboring states, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And that's somewhat surprising. You'll see a really big number in Indiana, 36,000 jobs in manufacturing. That's almost wholly the RV industry. About 85% of all the RVs in the country are made in or around Elkhart, Indiana. So working with MEDC, we are developing sort of a targeted customer group, and I'll get into the way we're going to use, hopefully, opportunity zones as a way to do this. But part of it is looking at specific customers. So we're going to care a lot about that first big one, outdoor gear and product makers. These are the boat manufacturers. We also had some decent jobs in outdoor gear related to apparel with Carhartt and Wolverine Worldwide, some of those. A lot of outdoor retail. And then a lot of folks that maybe you more think of when you think of outdoor rec, the folks who actually get you out on the ski hill or kayaking on a river, those kind of things. And then you'll see down on the last part of the list, site selectors. That gets into some of the stuff John was talking about. So this is where we're going. Here's a couple of Michigan-based companies to give you an example of the beautiful things that are made here in Michigan. Viking campers, Van Dam boats, and some really, really beautiful high-end wooden boats. And then we're working with MEDC. We've actually come up with some industry cluster snapshots to really dig deeper into this industry and how to begin to target it. So as an example, this maker or manufacturing category, we are outperforming the country. As I mentioned, we are making a lot of these things are made here, and that we're growing faster at 34% per year or over those 5 years versus 10% of the overall United States. So we have an opportunity to really continue to capitalize on that. And I mentioned access facilitators, which is more the opportunity to get out and enjoy the outdoor recreation. We're actually smaller. We're growing, we have a good market share. We're above national average, but we're not growing as fast. We're not keeping pace. And that's a great combination to begin to think about as you begin to think about geographies. So I can share, this is a static map. There's actually a live one that's older, and I could share that with you. But just to give you a sense of the work we're doing with MEDC, one of the key pieces we think in attracting and growing outdoor recreation economy in this sector is to know what we've already got and how we might get some density and clusters built. So we started mapping with MEDC some of the various ways that the outdoor recreation industry currently sits in Michigan, where they're located. So this is, again, we could zoom in on a map. This is a static version, but I can pull up the website of an older version of this if you want to play with it. But it gives you a sense of the different categories and where they are in Michigan. Obviously a lot in Southeast Michigan, fewer up north, but it's an opportunity. And then just to give you a little bit more of flavor why we think this is a growth opportunity. This was a best outdoor recreation products done by Field and Stream about 10 years ago. And 3 of those top 10 products are actually Michigan or made or originated. So the Marble Arms Safety Axe was a patent back in the 1800s up in the UP with Webster Marble. A Stormy Cromer hat, one you probably recognize from Ironwood and Bob and Gina and their team. And then the one I didn't recognize, but there's a quiver that holds arrows. The Quickie Quiver is also a Michigan product. So 3 out of the top 10 were Michigan-based products. And historically, we've done some really cool things. So original pop-up tents that were really now just everywhere. That was initiated by somebody, a graduate of Cranbrook, Bill Moss, and he originated that. And so for a long time, pop tents were coming out of Ann Arbor, Michigan before it became Moss tents and moved out east. Similarly, snowboarding, the origins of snowboarding can be traced back to Muskegon. So we have a history of innovation and we have current innovation. So as you get into more mobility, this is a company called Rivian, and they are headquartered out of Plymouth, Michigan. And they are claiming to be and working to be the world's first all-electric adventure vehicle. And these are going to be coming on the market really soon. So this is the future of outdoor recreation. Electric adventure vehicles, that's something Michigan can again play at. And if you've been paying any attention, this is one of the really sexy vehicles that just came out of Michigan, the revamped Ford Bronco. And that's the one on the left and the historical one. So this is, again, Michigan design expertise in full force from our auto heritage into future products. And this was a really, really, really high-end launch nationally that had Jimmy Chen and a bunch of folks that are well known in the outdoor recreation space. So we great history. And what I'm trying to do is leverage all the existing assets and tools that economic developments in Michigan can bring to the table to attract and grow this specific sector. You'll see opportunity zones is one of those things that we're starting to play with. And the goal really is to maybe look a little bit more like this is Utah, and they actually have a really hard pitch to bring your company to Utah to make your outdoor products. And they even call it your 85,000 square mile testing facility for outdoor products. I think we're going to get to this space in Michigan because we can make a lot of this stuff and do a lot of it really well in Michigan. So getting the opportunity zones, there really aren't a lot of tools in the tool kit right now to attract, based on those 3 stools that John mentioned, like the 3 legs of economic development. All 3 of them matter to outdoor recreation, both the placemaking, community development pieces, the traditional business attraction and retention and growth tools, and also some of these marketing and branding things. So I'm going to talk about 2 projects really, and focusing specifically on the funds that are flowing into these opportunity zones. So this is 2 projects. The first is called Colorado Outdoors. It's on the western slope around Gunnison, Colorado. But this is an opportunity zone, and the Pearl Fund actually set up an entire new opportunity zone fund that funnels into this project. So it's a real estate project on a river with a lot of outdoor recreation amenities, but it's also an investment fund that can invest in innovative startup companies in the outdoor recreation space through this company called Catapult Innovation Labs, which is a startup support ecosystem, much like what we have all around Michigan, including there in Flint. So how do you package this together? I'm looking at models like this and how we might be able to either leverage the Pearl Fund into Michigan to create a project that emulates this in an opportunity zone fund in Michigan, or set up our own. And we have a lot of innovation ecosystem support tools. And maybe we can target something like this into an opportunity zone by creating an opportunity zone fund of our own. Another one as an example is Arcturus out of Boston, Massachusetts. They do an opportunity zone, and they recently invested both in a ski utopia. It's a rehab saddleback ski hill, Saddleback Mountain in Maine, trying to turn that community into a really high functioning community through an opportunity zone investments through Arcturus. And then this most recently, just a couple of days ago, they announced they are also spending money in Colorado in opportunity zones in the same region to set up both affordable housing, but also recreational glamping campsites. And so this is, again, a really creative use of opportunity zones. So the reason I'm really intrigued by this is if you take that map, and again, I've underutilized clearly John Redwine and his team, but just looking at the opportunity zones at a high level, what we're thinking about is the overlap of these key recreational areas. If you take a look at Munising, Pictured Rocks, and everything east of Munising is an opportunity zone. So if we had an opportunity zone fund, they can put money into companies as long as they're located in an opportunity zone. So we set up the fund creatively. We could be investing in startup companies or support or locations through the companies and getting those companies kicked off here to make products. This one's just a fun map to me because you think about Michigan's most prestigious sort of outdoor recreation, they are opportunity zones. And opportunity zones, is an investment opportunity, but the tip of the Keweenaw, amazing things going on up there in small business, in those access facilitating companies like Keweenaw Adventure Company, but maybe there's also investment in businesses that are making mountain bikes or doing those kind of things that would love to be housed in this up and coming destination where one of the world-class mountain bike trail builders, Aaron Rodgers, is living and trying to set up a mountain bike utopia. And similarly, Ontonagon, located near the Porcupine Mountains. And some of these areas are, pretty rural and not a lot of investment. So if we had an opportunity fund setting out there to invest, we might be able to do some creative. Looking at other areas where projects are ongoing with MDC in places like Cadillac, Grayling, and Ludington, these are often outdoor recreation hubs of their own. And how do we begin to use their opportunity zone funds that are in there to continually grow companies? So you take a look at Ludington or Cadillac or Grayling, there are opportunity zones around there where outdoor recreation startups might want to locate on a river or on a lake. And similarly, I think there's opportunities not only in the rural areas of Opportunity Zones funds, but the urban ones. You look at this is Detroit, tons of investment going on to that riverfront to get people access to the Detroit River and the Riverwalk. And these are all opportunity zones. Are there ways that an opportunity zone fund, if we had it and created, and it can make investments and get returns on those venture capital projects, that companies and startups might be doing creative things in the outdoor recreation space based on its access to water. And pretty much any opportunity zone funds around have some of that nexus. Grand Rapids similarly has some waterfront through its river, as that proposal for a Grand Rapids Whitewater Park. Is there a potential for new businesses to be making kayaks and doing whitewater things that aren't existing today, but could be, and we could be incentivizing an opportunity zone fund? Or Saginaw, also right on the riverfront, right downtown, and also some closer to expressways and things like that. So again, just thinking as this industry, how do we begin to leverage those tools to do that kind of work? So that is me. And like I said, I can go into any of the specific websites and play with those maps since it's GIS day, but I thought I'd give you an overview first.
That's wonderful, Brad. We don't have any questions. Well, we did have one I saw, John, that you responded to in the chat, but I'm not sure if Ashley was able to see that. She had asked, can you download the raw shapefiles for the opportunity zones on the MEDC site? And if not, where did you source that data? And John responded by saying that the GIS planning and the software is called Zoom Prospector. So it's kind of a proprietary third-party software vendor. So you'd have to contact them directly. I know there's a lot of other open data platforms that you can download all the census tracts across the nation as a raw shapefile or raw GIS file. You just have to do a little bit of Google searching potentially, or if you have more questions, you can reach out to me and I can direct you directly to those sources that I've gotten them. But for the stuff that was on MED's site selector tool, you probably want to go right to the gisplanning.com for that. But other than that, we didn't really have any other questions that came up. So with that, I would like to thank all of our panelists. Thank you, Brad, John, and Wendy, for providing different perspectives on opportunity zones and how they could potentially be leveraged, or how data and GIS can help find out that information. So with that, thank you very much and have a great day.